national institutions, universities. So the education that is being given to the children should be relevant enough to make them be absorbed in the society. They get customized there and make a living. But unfortunately, most of those dropouts, you find them loitering on the streets with nothing to do. Yep.
All right, so for the P7 leavers, or the 90,000 that we're talking about here, before we get to the kind of education system that they have been that they have been administered to, what is their fate? What is it for them? Is it game over for them, or they still have an opportunity?
As I've already said, if they are not lucky enough to repeat, it is game up.
Okay.
They are going on the streets, be absorbed in society. Some of them will become like lumpens. It's like that. Game up.
Okay.
Yes.
Let me get. Thank you so much, Honorable Kanaginagi. Let me get to the Honorable Fenhance Kyoto, who is an educationist, of course, as the ED of Bunyoro People's Choice.
Bunyoro Choice Uganda.
Choice Uganda. Okay, I have the key terms are Bunyoro and then the choice thing. So somehow I keep on mixing them up. So Uganda introduced a new curriculum. That is, I think, 2 years ago. Yeah, because for the students that were in about 2019, 20, I think they started with that education, the new curriculum.
For lower secondary?
Yes, for lower secondary. And we are seeing, and we've not yet had anyone that is going to sit maybe for the UCE. Okay, we have not yet examined, that kind of curriculum on this higher level for them to cross now to the A level. Now, for these ones that are going to senior one, of course, the P7 leavers that are going to senior one, and the new curriculum, how do you rate that kind of curriculum, the new one?
Thank you, Mr. Elkem, and our viewers. First of all, I want to congratulate all children who sat for PLOE last year, and their results came out some 2 weeks back, and they had passed in whichever grade. Congratulations. I want to thank teachers and all those stakeholders who played their role. I can say I have Mr. Byarugaba Lawrence here. In Masindi, he performed very well, and I think he was the best in PLOE with all the 22 candidates he had in the first division. Thank you so much for the good work, and I think even Masindi performed somehow better generally in terms of grades. But in general performance, I think it is still a bit low, but I want to congratulate and I want to thank the leadership of the district. For now, they are getting together to get back to the roots to enhance the performance. I also have a daughter who had 8 in 4. I want to congratulate her. Praise. I'm still struggling to find a better school where to take her.
Of course, Masindi or
she will find
Masindi?
In Uganda. in Uganda.
How about we join the process to see that we push for education in Masindi to make it better for us to
Yeah, that one we already in terms.
Maybe we could test it.
We shall see.
Okay.
We shall see. But I'm looking for a better school where she can get education for a secondary level.
All right.
About the new curriculum, and given the challenges that we've been experiencing as Uganda, you know, the education system in Uganda has been so much westernized. It has been based on the Western culture. Originally, in Africa, we had our education which was practical, which was targeting life skills enhancement.
Yeah, that's right.
And when you try to trace, you will find that most technological advancements, knowledge, started in Africa, and Uganda was one of the founders of the technology, and even here in Bunyoro. we had advanced technology which was practical, which was looking at enhancing the skills of an individual, which could support somebody to be a job maker other than a job seeker, till the whites came and disorganized us. And now, for all that long, we have been pursuing a curriculum or a syllabus which is about building the job seekers, and not looking at the brain only, not white collar jobs, and not looking at a person studying to get knowledge and skills for sustainable self-sustainability. And our parents, even ourselves, even today, have been training, sending their children to school to make them study, pass exams, get white collar jobs. Even teachers, these Lawrences, have been training, teaching children to pass examinations and look for jobs. But as we talk now, when you look at the figures in Uganda, every year we have a total job market of around 40,000 across the board, in government, in the private sector, in NGOs. It is about 40,000 or at whatever level total. But every year 97 students graduate at diploma and degree level. And now you wonder where these people go. I have not talked about those ones who graduate at certificate level, those ones who drop at a certain level, those ones who don't pass at. So if we don't look at creating training people for sustainable development, looking at life skills, then we are done, we are nowhere. And now this new curriculum is targeting that. When you look at it very critically, it is just about supporting a child to explore his or her environment, to have his or her skills built, using the surrounding, but the biggest challenge, there are two challenges. Challenge number one, our government has always rushed for things. Even that one, it was recommended in the white paper of Professor Senteza Kajubi.
From most of the schools, they will say they are not practically doing. Yeah,
in fact, this curriculum was recommended a long time ago. I don't know when was it, in the white paper of education.
70s.
In 70s. During about a time our government. By Professor Senteza Kajubi.
The UPC government.
But they sat on it. They never wanted to roll it out. They never wanted to support it. It is just of late when they think that I think this curriculum will help us.
Honorable Fenhance, but most of educationists, or the people that are in the sector, for example, the directors, they will tell you that education, that new curriculum is expensive.
That's what I'm coming to. That's challenge number one. Our government always sweeps good ideas brought up by different governments under the carpet. So that's what they did first. Two, when you look at this curriculum, it needs adequate financing. And when it needs adequate financing, it requires commitment from government. The government must finance this curriculum. They should do away with the playing around, it needs adequate financing. When you look at our national budget now, which stands at around 48 trillion, 48 trillion, the budget for education, including money for the minister, including money for the pensioners, for the PS, all these teachers' salaries, overhead costs, it's around 1.7-1.8%, which gives us around 9.6 billion. That is under financing of education. That budget proportion is very small to finance this kind of curriculum. That is challenge number one. The government must commit to finance this curriculum. It is a very good one.
Yeah, that's right.
Then two, the teachers themselves are not acquainted with this curriculum. They are not trained. They trained a few teachers and they think that they are going to roll it out.
They train government teachers and they did not train the
But
private
they,
teachers.
you know,
who
even
are
in
more-
government teachers, they select a few and they don't facilitate them to train their colleague teachers. That's where the problem is. With the private schools, they might even stand a higher chance because with the private schools, they can get money from parents through tuition, and they make their own initiative to train their own teachers to into that curriculum.
Of
But
course,
with the government, which entirely relies on public financing, they are likely to miss out. That's one explains why even in this other ordinary curriculum we have been having, private schools perform better than public schools, because for them they are adequately facilitated.
Maybe government priorities are misplaced. Because there is no for the private. I think the director will be able to tell us about what happens in the private schools. But you see, government has more money than
Exactly.
even the private sector. So we are thinking maybe at the end of the day the government will be exemplary enough with facilitating all these teachers and also making sure they now train the private schools.
Yeah, like you have just stated, in most cases government priorities are misdirected. What you look at as a priority, sometimes government does not look at it as a priority. I want to give an example. Sometime back, I think a year or two or three, there has been an issue. I remember we are pushing for a school feeding program, campaigning. We even did a pilot here in Masindi. By then, Honorable Kanaginagi was Secretary of Education here, and we started some pilot projects in various schools, and they have been performing well. And we wanted to push government to make a policy, to pass a policy to support school feeding program, which is government funded. But later on, after a couple of years, in fact decades, the ministry bought that idea and they started popularizing it, moving around. And the minister took lead in this, Honorable Janet Kataham Seven, who doubles as I say a first lady. But she moved around the regions, districts, going to radios, meeting stakeholders. But when you looked at the way she moved, with the convoy of over 40 vehicles, with the security, with the budget for only one day to conduct a radio talk show at Radio BBS here was more than enough to provide lunch for all the schools for the whole year in Masindi district. Isn't that one misdirecting the priorities?
That's right.
So that is the kind of things, issues that we have been experiencing.
All right, Honorable Honorable Fenhance, I'll be able to get back to you. Let me get to Mr. Byarugaba. Something that I've just learned, a professional teacher. I think that one I'm quite surprised because somehow we've not engaged on the other side of teaching and stuff.
Yes.
All right, now with all that is happening in the country directly, currently rather, how prepared are you for the reopening of schools?
Thank you so much. I would first like to congratulate our children whose results have just come for PLE.
Yeah.
The performance in our district wasn't bad. You've seen, and more especially
to be the flag bearers.
more especially our school, St. Lawrence Primary School. You see what we managed to acquire. Only first grades, 100%.
Yeah.
Actually, by the way, for your information, in this region, we're just two schools that made it 100%. Yes.
Okay.
So I congratulate everybody.
Actually, maybe the gentleman on this show will also have to congratulate you.
Thank you.
Upon that success, and also Honorable Kanaginagi was the Secretary of Education.
Yes.
I think that makes him more popular.
Yeah. Sure. For the term, we actually prepared. We private schools, at least we use the meager resources we get. We don't depend on the government. That maybe we lie that the government is going to give us something, and we begin from that.
Handshake.
No, 100%. You saw what happened in COVID. So for my case, by the way, I'm a farmer. I want to tell you, I do farming.
Okay.
So at least some good percentage of food is got from my farm. So for that, when you have food with our schools, you know that at least you have covered the biggest what?
Yeah.
Then you remain struggling with what? Salaries. Salaries. So we actually prepared. We are prepared, and our boarding children have reported today.
Okay.
Then the day tomorrow we shall be receiving the day scorers. Yeah.
In general, how is what is the relationship between the Ministry of Education and you, the private sectors, the private schools? Have you had these kinds of conversations? For example, do you have any plan from the ministry on how the schools are going to be able to move for this particular academic year?
Thank you so much. Surely we follow the government programs.
Is the program out from that it's supposed to be followed?
Yes.
Okay.
We have the calendar, the term calendar, the whole year calendar. Actually, we have it, and that's what we follow. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Director. I will also be able to come back. Let me cross straight to Honorable Rutindo. Yeah, sometime I asked him and he said it was the Rutindo used to connect the people of
Pakanyi to the district.
The people of Pakanyi.
Even now.
To the okay. Yes. Let us start from Masindi. Yes, from the time that you were secretary for education.
Yes.
For particularly for Masindi district and its education or its kind of performance in terms of education. You see, it gets quite worrying when over the years we do not have a child that is getting 4 aggregates in a district. Now, where you were where you were secretary then up to now, I'm not certain if we've had any kind of performance where we have a number of 4s like the districts are performing.
Just a few isolated ones.
From the, I think for the last 5 years, if I'm not mistaken, we've not had a 4 from Masindi for the last 5 years. That is particularly in PLE. We've not had a 4. What could be the issue?
Well, there are many factors that contribute at the good performance in the schools. And because of time, I cannot enumerate all of them here. But first of all, it suffices to say that the education system has got many stakeholders. There is the government, there is the parents, the teachers,
themselves,
the children, the community. Let me say, first of all, the school environment. How is it? In the government schools, classrooms, each classroom, the standard classroom is supposed to accommodate 54 children. But you find 100 or even more crammed in one classroom. I had an experience because for me, I used to inspect the whole of Greater Masindi. In Kirianongo district, there is a school called Diang. I went in the morning. There were 257 children crammed in one school. Because of that big number, they could not even put desks there. They were all seated on the floor. There were 2 teachers, one at the back, and one in front. It was a P2 class. So one at the back was trying to control, was shouting like that. But the carbon dioxide that they were oozing out, I felt pity. So the school environment, pupil classroom ratio, how is it?
How many teachers?
In fact, information is talking about the Buyala and the things of very far. But even in his own sub-county Pakany right now, there is a Limugonza Primary School with an enrollment of 1,405 learners and with only 8 classrooms. And out of the 8 classrooms, 3 are condemned and dilapidated. So they have only 5. So the classroom pupil ratio is about 281. That is a whole complete primary school. Ask Byarugaba, he will tell you. That is the enrollment of his school.
So still on the school environment, the desks, as I've already said, because of the high number, they don't have adequate desks. Bwana Murungi,
Yes, please.
if you have taken keen interest, we who studied during those times, our handwriting is far different from the handwriting
The
of the
fonts.
children today. Because for them, they are writing on the what? On the knees.
But honestly,
Yeah.
for the education system of your time, I think honestly there is a lot to, there is a lot that is improved. Because you people used to even write on the ground.
Yeah, first. Then on the slates. Then we go to the what? The books. Then apart from that, the teacher pupil ratio. Before I left the district council, we had a teacher gap of 180. Which means we were lacking as a district 180 teachers to hit our ceiling. Yesterday when I was on a certain radio, the DO said they are lacking 150. But they are lacking even more because there was a policy which was saying that there should be 2 teachers above the ceiling. Why? Because this ceiling includes the head teacher. And as you know, the head teacher is an administrator. Once, many times they are called for workshops, they come to do things at the district headquarters. So if he or she is included in the ceiling, when he's not there, one class is missing. Then there is falling sick. Somebody has got to fall sick.
A teacher.
There should be somebody to fill that gap. And even for the female teachers, naturally, they have to get pregnant and they give birth.
So what happens when the only teacher
when they're on maternity leave? So all of those are affecting the what? Then the latrine, pupil latrine ratio. You find where there is a lot of what they chew. Instead of going, you help yourself in 2 minutes, you are back to classroom, you are spending 15 minutes chewing.
In fact, the same school, information, the same school, Alimugonza, has 10 instances for that number of 1,405 learners, meaning that the pupil stance ratio is 141, meaning that if all children felt like going for a short call or a long call, 141 children will line up for one stance. And how long will it take?
Okay.
And with children, it is like if it is break, they can all go. I also want. And
Even if they don't
141 lining up for one stance.
Apart from that, point number 2, the funding. Government is supposed to fund the education system, but is the funding that we are giving adequate? I was listening recently, it was in fact on the TV. They were saying that the government is giving 12,000 shillings a pupil per year. Divide that into 3 terms. That means 4,000. 4,000 divide, because a term practically it's supposed to be 63 days. Now when you divide that, I don't know how much you can get, maybe 200 shillings or something like that. I was giving an example. I come from 12 miles from here, from town. A border. Even today I had a border to bring somebody to town. They asked me for 8,000. So coming and going back, that is 16,000. Somebody, when he or she comes to town, has got to eat. That is 5,000 minimum. That is 21,000 in a single trip. But here is government is giving 4,000 to every pupil for a whole term, to include everything: administration, extracurricular activities, and so on. Then the parents have been, what can I call it? They have been misguided. The Education Act of 2008, in section 8, says that parents will not be required to pay school fees for children in the universal primary education. But in the section 10, it says that that notwithstanding that section 8, when occasional demands, the parents will be required to contribute in kind or even what monetary terms. But because most of our parents don't want to shy away from their responsibilities, they have only taken the other section 8 literally, that they don't have to contribute anything towards the education of their children. But sure, as I've analyzed, 4,000 per pupil per term, is it adequate? You will ask the director Byarugaba here, he will tell you how much he charges.
Maybe you should be able to tell us how much on you can push the microphone. Yes, Mr. Director, how much on average is a PPU supposed to spend per day?
Actually,
Per day.
We value a plate of the cheapest, a plate of meal at 2,000. Just a plate.
That is lunch.
So that's the only
Then there is
lunch.
breakfast.
There's breakfast. There's breakfast and escort. There's supper, and we even move an extra mile, like for the nursery children. You also have to give them something before they leave, and evening tea. That's if they.
And then there is transport.
Yes, transport. Okay. Yeah.
So on average, it is about 10,000.
That's a day. Yes.
So and then someone is giving them 4,000.
No, it's not applicable. It is not applicable, surely. So you see, education is actually a combination of what efforts, the parent, the teacher,
and the school.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, point number 3, and this one I blame our government, because I'm part of government. The salary,
How you blame me.
salary disparity. Yes, me, I've told him in earlier interviews that me, when I see something wrong, I have to air it so that we correct ourselves from within. The salary disparity within the government schools for our teachers, the arts and the sciences, there is a very big disparity. When I was on radio yesterday, I said that I'm a scientist myself. I did the physics, mathematics, and the chemistry. But I don't support that disparity. Even if we wanted to promote science, there would be just a certain percentage, maybe 20% over and above the general salary of what? But where you find somebody is earning 4 million, the other one is earning 1 million, and yet they went to the same school, they were paid the same school fees, they also have the same children going to certain schools, they are going to the same market, they also fall sick. So the arts teachers,
they even have the same time on the timetable.
Exactly, even more load. So the arts teachers are discontented. Government here should do everything possible to address this problem, because some teachers, even if you force them now to go to classes, they will be there physically as shadows, no teaching. Because of that, what? Discontent. So we have to address it and make everybody happy.
Right.
As you saw, there was a strike. That strike took 3 weeks. These Byarugabas, for them, they didn't what?
They
didn't strike. And even for them, he may not have told you. They started now, the P7s started 2 weeks ago. They are at school. And yet our children are in the government. Even when they go there tomorrow for Nani, they may not be teaching. They may take another week or so without what? So these people are putting in more, and yet at the end of the day, these children are going to be subjected to the same what? Same papers. Syllabus coverage, certainly, for these.
Honorable Kanaginagi, I'm going to get back to the issue of the syllabus. Let me get shortly to Honorable Fenhance. All right, our viewers that are watching us live on Elcam TV, this is the platform, of course, where expression is guaranteed. This show is proudly sponsored by Victory Bija Hotel. You can reach out to them for accommodation. You can reach out to them for conference facilities, bar and sauna services, restaurant services, ground for any kind of event. You have a wedding, you have an introduction, you have an artist, a concert. You can reach out to Victory Bija Hotel. We are also proudly sponsored by Stimart Engineering Limited. You can reach out to them for plumbing, tiling, and the painting services. Of course, we have a partnership with Cars Media. You can reach out to them for photography, videography, and also drone services. Now, Honorable Fenhance Kyotasobora is an educationist,
Professional teacher.
Professional.
Social worker.
Okay, that does me well because I have the right people on the show. Now, the education system of Uganda. You see, we already have quite a number of loopholes and gaps, etc. Maybe with the private sector and also the government as well. Now we have an issue where the science teachers are actually paid more than the arts teachers. Where does it leave the education system of Uganda?
Elijah, the issues we have in Uganda are not anyhow near to the end.
Okay.
I don't know what the people in leadership think about. We have had a sharing from the chairman NRM Masindi district. They are in the steering seat. But the question you asked earlier, why is it that there is a poor performance in public schools than private schools, especially,
and yet schools have more resources.
Government has more resources or whatever. Most of the causes are structural. Honorable Kanaginagi enumerated a number of factors which are very correct, but they are structural.
Okay.
When I talk of issues or causes being structural, I mean being built within the governance system that we do have.
Okay.
Like if it requires financing, the government does not provide enough financing. When they do, they steal the money. They misdirect the priorities. When it comes to teaching, he has already told you, learners, their teachers, I'm very sure, even during the holiday, they could have been working, trying to do the joint planning in all private schools, or even in government schools, where partially payment, majorly payment is done by parents, or where the foundation bodies are very strong. They put a fee and they facilitate their teachers. You might find that in St. Lawrence, the money he's paying his teachers and the other workers is much lower than the money a teacher in government is being paid. But what about other hidden factors? How does he feed his teachers and other workers? How does he facilitate his teachers and other workers? How does he reward his teachers and other workers?
The incentives,
the incentives, appreciation, trainings. He has told you that they started some 2 weeks back. They are doing joint planning, and whenever they are there and doing joint planning, they are fed well. They are teachers know what they are going to do.
And then we have government schools that will...
and the government, in government schools, that one can hardly happen because there is no financing for that. That is the only difference. There is no financing for that. You go to St. Lawrence, you will find that a teacher at St. Lawrence at a lower pay is more contented than a teacher in a public school or a government school.
But they have salaries that come in every month.
Exactly,
without
every month. But I'm talking about other facilities. You know, it is not only the salary. By the way, somebody can work without a salary, but when the environment is okay and other facilitation and other whatever, there is a consultant I'm providing to ADB and my if I'm supposed to get a monthly consultancy, but I have taken some good months without getting that monthly consultancy. But I'm well facilitated, and I'm doing my work, and I love it, and I'm producing results. So if we
let me chip in a bit. Maybe he may not tell you, but it's such other incentives. Because when I was Secretary for Education here, we were giving teachers soft loans for our teachers, so they can take their children also to go to schools. They pay without
waiting for the salary.
These private schools may also be doing the same, or even giving maybe some children, biological children, to their teachers to come and study free in those schools. Because you find in the government schools, the teachers themselves, they don't put their children to study in the very schools they are teaching in. But in private schools, they will take them there because they are going to do what? So such incentives encourage the teachers to teach despite the law. What? Pay.
Yeah, those are hard incentives or practical incentives. But there are also software incentives. Talk about professional development and enhancement, training teachers, telling them what to do. That one is very, 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 very crucial. You will find that if you ask Honorable Kanaginagi, he will tell you when he was a Secretary for Finance, Secretary for Education, if you ask him how much money was put there to conduct refresher trainings for teachers, or to bring teachers to sit together to set what they are going to teach, to set what they are going to ask, how they are going to mark, he will tell you the money. We were hardened up. But in private institutions, that package is always there and it comes with money. But now when it comes to, he was talking about the politicization, only that there is a way he court-suited it. There was a lot of sweet coating. That you know, that's how you know they talk. The NRM people. And for them, education is free. Education is free. Because they want people out there to know that they are providing education. One, it is the core responsibility of government to provide best education to its citizens. That one is not negotiable.
That is actually everywhere. You've seen the government of South Sudan, you've seen
that is their core. They committed themselves. Under the Commonwealth states, they committed themselves. And the UN, they committed themselves. It is not negotiable. Two, there are various stakeholders, parents, what. Now, they pretend that they are putting away responsibility from parents by doing that, and when you find parents who are not exposed, for them they say, we cannot pay any money for our children. They even refuse to buy books, they even refuse to provide meals, they even refuse to go for meetings, they even refuse to pay for examination whatsoever, because the state has said ABCD. But when you look for those children who he studied in Intare, all his children have been studying in those powerful schools, where has been paying millions of money. But when he comes out here, he tells people, don't pay, the government is paying for you, the government is doing this, and then the head of state also comes, sente, you don't pay, not knowing that when you don't pay, you get poor quality education, your child gets poor quality education, and you will not get the good job, and you will not go, and you remain at that. Then we go into skills, then we will be sending our children to this place. Where is it? Is it where you are teaching them on how to sew, on how to do whatever. That's when their children will be occupying those the Kanaginagis, those big offices and whatever. Leave alone Kanaginagi. But there are those others. Even when their children have not gone to school, attained the level of education, the children, the education Kanaginagi's children have attained, even without documents, they will take those big jobs. Right. So even the issue of science.
At that point, Honorable Fenhance, maybe for Kanaginagi, someone will be protected because he owns his opinion. All right. Something that I want us to understand here is we need to draw the line of the 4 million. You see, when a science teacher is getting 4 million, and then the arts teacher is even below 1 million.
I want to come to that. And where does that policy work about? It works with the secondary education, tertiary institutions, and I think public services, health, what. That's where agriculture, production, that's where it works. But what about these teachers in primary education? Those who teach in primary education. You find a teacher teaching SST, teaching science, teaching political science, teaching every subject. How are they considered? How do they look at that? Can they do the rating? Yes,
the math,
it is a brain. Then when you go to secondary, no single child can come right from primary up to whatever level on sciences or whatever. But one thing I see in that, this movement, people might not want to hear about that. But the fact is, for me, I look at it as an issue of politicizing education. They want to encourage people at that advanced level to concentrate on sciences. Because with the sciences, they follow formulas. If it is constructing the road, they make their calculations. 1 plus 1 equals to 2. That is it. They follow the formulas. In fact, to me, there is literal thinking in sciences.
That's right.
If you master
we have the same,
compared to arts.
To arts. Because in arts you have to think.
In arts, no. You have to think. You have to analyze. I want to give an example of the head of state. There is a time when he wanted scrap of history or wanted to do whatever, but that it is not necessary. It is in fact we call this nonsense.
Scrap of this Swasa.
No, they are there. They only subdivided them. They struggled. But this is a kind of man who is an orator, and he has all these facts on the fingertips. Data. He will never talk for 10 minutes without making reference to history. To those other people. How did he get it? He learned it in school. In fact, this, I look at it as a strategy of keeping majority of the citizens in the cage such that they don't think beyond the box and cause a challenge. Like it happened to our government, and now we are ready. We are all like you know. He will never talk for 10 minutes without referring to history. And without telling how history helped him. And very many other genius people always refer to history.
Alright, because of time, let me switch to the director. Our viewers that are watching us live on Aukem Television, thank you so much. Thank you for keeping it live here. And we are looking at a spotlight in education towards the reopening of schools, and most of the schools actually open today. The director did mention that their students, their pupils have been reporting to school today. They will be in position to be in class on the 6th, just like the government put it, 6th of February. How to call you honorable, yes. Which is okay.
No.
You see, we think honorable has been things to do with politics. So I don't want our viewers to say that our director has joined politics,
No.
It would really be a different issue. Mr. Byarugaba,
yes.
You've been in education
yes.
for quite a number of years,
yes.
but also you've been able to now direct. From my understanding, for St. Lawrence, I think it has been in the system for about 3 years, 4 years.
We are going to 6th year.
6th year.
Yes.
And we've seen since you joined.
Yes.
You've been able to scoop quite a number of grades,
yes.
Winning the previous year, and also when you came back again, you won this particular year,
yes.
and that is from Masindi district.
Yes.
What are the schools not doing?
Actually, some of these points have been raised by the Honorable Kanaginagi. There are a number of factors for a school to perform. One, he talked about the quality of teachers. You see, our teachers, we are not saying they are not good enough. but we call them these trainings. Time comes when somebody is almost outdated. So it is really very important for teachers to go for refresher courses. There should be time to get facilitators, facilitate teachers to give them the current information. Okay, I talk out of experience. For example, when you advertise for some positions, you get
school.
Yes, at the school. We get a teacher comes, he wants to teach P7. You get, for example, P7 SST, you get a paper of P6, P7, you give it to him, he first raise 50%. So how do you think that a teacher will teach a class and pass? So that's one of the factors. One of the factors teachers should always, teachers are supposed to go for refresher
training.
Yes.
Courses.
Then the other factor is the issue of time. Most schools don't value time. The time is everything. For example, the case in point is I look at my school. Actually, before I began the school, I made enough research.
Okay.
More especially on these performing schools. How are they doing it?
What are they doing that we are doing?
Yes. Then I had to come up with the strategies. The issue of time. For example, a good teacher is supposed to be near the school. Yes.
Not just being an entrepreneur where we see that in most cases the investor or the person who invests in the school, but they are away. They only come for money.
Sure. So a good teacher is supposed to be what? Near the school. So time is what? Is saved. So for example, our lessons at school begin at 7:30. So you'll not compete with us when you are starting our 7:30 and you are starting at 9. It is hard what? We start at 7:30 and end at 5.
Information, take an example.
Yes.
Information, take an compare in relation to what he's saying. Take an example of Kasenene Primary School in Nyantonzi sub-county. They have 1,600 learners. They don't have a single staff quarter at Kasenene Primary School.